Hey everyone, Tech Gamer here. For this video, I'd like to provide you with an overview of how Bluetooth technology is used to connect our modern gaming console controllers to mobile devices. So as you can see, we've got a couple of things set up here. We have an Apple iPhone 7 Plus. We have a Sony PlayStation 5 DualSense controller and a Microsoft Xbox Series X controller. All these devices can connect to each other via Bluetooth. So the typical setup for gaming controllers is they connect to their respective devices via one of two ways. One is through a USB cable, which is directly connected to the console, or Bluetooth, wireless. The typical way you see most people utilizing it is through the Bluetooth. There are some benefits to using USB connections. You don't have to worry about battery life, wireless connectivity, any kind of issues. There are gamers who are very dedicated to what they do and don't want any lag whatsoever in their connections. So you will typically see them with a USB connection to their gaming console. Others who can accept the lag that's barely even noticeable will just use Bluetooth. I prefer Bluetooth just for the ease of functionality and not having to deal with a wire where somebody could trip off and knock your console over. So, how does Bluetooth work? Bluetooth works in the same way similar to wireless technology works, but slightly different. All devices that support Bluetooth have a Bluetooth adapter or card installed inside of them. On devices such as these, they're integrated onto the main board that's inside. Devices such as an iPhone, there's a dedicated chip in there and antennas for Bluetooth. Now, why do you need a dedicated chip? A chip is another word for a processor. When you use Bluetooth technology, that chip and processor basically connects to the other one inside of the device that you're going to be paired with. And that Bluetooth connection between the two is basically a device-to-device connection. They're essentially directly connected together. They don't use any of your home wireless, your home access points, nothing like that. They're directly connected together. Now, what are the benefits of that? You get speed of direct connectivity, the ability to interoperate together without the need of a home wireless access point, other devices such as that, near instantaneous data transfers. So what is a data transfer when you're playing a video game? Well, that's when you essentially move the controller, press a button, that's a data transfer. It sends the data to the Xbox in this case, or the mobile platform, to translate to a movement on the screen. The biggest thing with Bluetooth is range. The range is limited as opposed to wireless. It's like 30 feet, 15 feet from a device for a good, strong signal. You can't be connected with your Bluetooth device to your mobile phone and walk 20, 30 feet away and expect it still to have the same signal strength that your home wireless would. So that's something to take into account. And the functionality of Bluetooth is great, especially for mobile platforming, which is what we're going to discuss as the primary focus of this video. When you play a mobile game on an iPhone, an iPad, an Android, a Samsung, a Galaxy Tab, you're constrained by having to hold that device in your hand. Now, that device was not designed for video gaming. It was designed for more emails, websites, stuff like that. So the controls are always a little funky. You typically hold the phone horizontal and you have some buttons on the left, some buttons on the right, and you have to manipulate those with your thumbs. That gets tiring after a while. But if you use a controller, you've got the more natural feel of being able to just go like this, and it doesn't wear on your hands as much. So, what are some of the devices that can connect to mobile devices through Bluetooth? For example, we have our Sony PlayStation controller, our Microsoft Xbox controller. These are the latest generations. This is a PlayStation 5, that's an Xbox Series X. iPhones and Apple also support other instances. So for Sony, they also support the PlayStation 4 DualShock controllers. Microsoft actually supports a little more. They support the older Xbox controllers, the model 1708, the Elite wireless controllers, but they have to be Series 2, the Xbox adaptive controller, and then obviously the Series S and Series X controllers. The best way to tell if your device is going to be supported is to Google it. You could say, does my XYZ phone support Bluetooth controllers? And they'll typically give you a list of which ones. Apple also makes support available for what they call MFI devices, which is made for iOS. So that's third-party vendors that make controllers that aren't Sony, they're not Microsoft. Like Steam controller, for example, is a good example of one. The one thing that's noticeably absent from iOS support is Nintendo Switch controllers, Joy-Cons, which have been really cool, but they don't have that support. So for our video, we're just going to primarily focus on these two. So let's go ahead and show how we connect these devices to our iPhone. So again, Bluetooth technology requires a direct pairing between the device and the mobile device. So here we have our Sony PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. As you can see, it is currently not turned on. If we go into settings and Bluetooth, we'll see that there are no devices available. Now, what we need to do here is we need to put this device into pairing mode, and every device is different. To do that on the PlayStation is not as simple as on the Xbox controller. To do it, we have to press two buttons, the PlayStation button and the Create button, and we do that together. Now, as you can see, it started flashing blue, and on our screen, the Sony PlayStation 5 controller sign has appeared. So let's go ahead and select this one, and as you can see, it has connected. So, and the controller has changed to a orange color, which signifies it's connected to a non-PlayStation device. So, how do we now retain this information? This device will stay automatically for as long as you allow it to. You can disconnect the device or you can forget the device. Why would you want to forget the device? You would forget the device if you're never going to use it again, or you're experiencing issues where you had to reconnect it. So, as you can see, we've got this device connected. Let's go ahead and disconnect it. As you can see, the PlayStation controller has shut off and is no longer connected. Now, this device is no longer in pairing mode. So if I go here and I click on it, it will not reconnect back. We have to do something on this device to enable its connection back. And that is because of security and for battery life. We don't want this device to be sitting here in pairing mode all the time. This battery would be dead before you knew it. So to get it to connect back, all we have to do is simply turn the device back on, and we should see it'll come back as connected. There we go. The device is now reconnected back to this iPhone, and you can see it has turned orange again. So let us show you now how to do an Xbox Series controller. The principle is all the same. We have to enable pairing and then pair it to the phone. So here's what we need to do. This one is a lot simpler. On the top here, there's this little button. You hold it until the Xbox then starts flashing, and you'll see Xbox wireless controller. We go ahead and push it, allow it to pair, and our device is connected. Now, what's the difference between the two technologies on these controllers? Absolutely nothing. They both use the same Bluetooth connectivity to get to a mobile device. It's just done different ways. This one you have to press two buttons. This one you press one. Same deal. If we disconnect this, the Xbox controller will disconnect. And it did not. So in this one, we'll go ahead and, this one actually does not have a disconnect button, which is okay. We'll just go ahead and hold this down, and then there it turned off. So as you can see, pairing Bluetooth devices to an iPhone is very simple and straightforward. And it definitely enhances your ability when you use it for application gaming. There's a multitude of games that support controllers. Typically when you go on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, it'll say controller support, yes or no. And if it does, I highly recommend using them. It just makes fatigue so much better. And as you all know, phones, when they're playing games, sometimes tend to get pretty hot. So you don't have to worry about that as well. And again, this is all interoperable between platforms. So if you have an iPhone, an Android phone, a Samsung, Galaxy Tab, anything like that, if it says there's support for Bluetooth and controller support, chances are there's a controller that'll meet your needs. I always recommend doing your research before you go out and purchase a controller for this specific use case, because there's different vendors have different support for each one. Bluetooth is good. It's very reliable. If you ever run into an issue where, say, for example, you can't get your PlayStation 5 controller to connect, let's say hypothetically my controller was turned on right now, which we know that it's not. And as you'll see, I'll wait for it to pop up here, that the device cannot connect. As you can see, it can't connect. What you can do is unpair it, tell it to forget the device, it will disappear, and then simply redo the pairing. This occurs once in a while with devices where sometimes the Bluetooth just doesn't want to work, and there it's reconnected. So the best option is just to repair it. And as you can see, that was super simple. It took me all of 30 seconds. One of the great things about modern mobile devices is you no longer have to worry about turning off the Bluetooth, turning off the wireless. The devices are smart enough now to know when the various technologies are being used and when they're not, so that it will not drain your battery life. Obviously, again, the controllers are not going to sit in pairing mode all the time because they will be drained out so quickly, the batteries would be dead within a matter of hours. It takes a lot of work to transmit itself and keep saying, hello, I'm here waiting for a connection. So you have to manually enable that pairing. But again, it's very straightforward to do. Pairing is the same principle on all devices, whether it's a gaming controller, a watch, wireless headphones. All the different vendors have various ways to do it. I always just recommend Googling it. The PlayStation 5 controller, for example, I didn't know how to pair it, and so I just basically Googled it, and this and this together, I would not have guessed that, versus the simplicity of the Xbox one with the button right here. That I figured out instantaneously. So that's it for this video. I hope everybody enjoyed this little overview of how to use Bluetooth technology to connect video game controllers to a mobile device. Everyone, please like and subscribe, and more videos will be coming soon. Thank you.